I've sung the praises of Made In Cookware for a while now. I own many pieces myself. Now Made In has changed nonstick cookware for good with their ceramic-clad pans. They're premium stainless pans with next-gen ceramic coating free of harmful materials. Beautiful, even cooking, and easy to clean. It's even oven safe up to 550 degrees. How do I know how great they are? I added one to my kitchen. Don't need a nonstick pan? Made In has pots, cutlery, bakeware, glassware, and everything you need. Take your home cooking to the next level by upgrading your cookware by going to unitedwedrink.com/madein, MADEIN. Find out why pros trust Made In. Go to unitedwedrink.com/madein and upgrade your kitchen and cooking today. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, co-workers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour? More like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on unitedwedrink.com, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike Urevich, and I'm joined here, as always, by my two compatriots, Kevin Abbott, Tim Johnson. How are you fellas doing tonight?
I'm here, and I have a beer, and I'm rhyming.
Go down to the bay, maybe eat some hay. I'm present and accounted for.
Oh, always good talking with you in this great demeanor.
I mean, we were pretty excited about last episode, right? Because it was just the fact that we could talk about all of our own personal crackpot theories about anything that didn't relate to beer. And now it just feels like a letdown. Like I have all these crazy things I want to talk about.
It's all downhill from here. I mean, in life, in this podcast, why are we even doing this? This is a philosophical podcast now.
Yeah, I say we just changed it to United We Drank, and it used to be about beer. and now it's just about whatever the hell we want.
I love that. That's a great idea, man. You come up with some gems, dude. Mike, have you gotten any feedback from that episode?
I have not. I haven't looked at the stats of it since last week when it dropped. So let's just in real time, this really breathtaking listening content that we have here. It's about a little less than normal for us. So it sounds like people loved it.
They were sharing with all their friends, like, "Hey, you got to hear what this guy Kevin has to say about just random things that come in his head." I don't have any opinion on it because it's not important to me at all.
Because, real podcasts make content that is shareable, that friends will want to share, that people will want to share with their friends and family. This podcast doesn't do that. We dance to the beat of a different drummer. We do things our way, like Sinatra said. So
yeah, we're like hydrogen peroxide. We're like antiviral. Like we intentionally try to make content that is not going to become popular. But I mean, I noticed the same amount of comments on YouTube. Shout out Kevin's dad. And Eric Hill tagged me in a response on Blue Sky.
Oh yeah, he did say something about Red Hot Chili Peppers that you were wrong about.
I had the order of the album. Well, it's not that I had the order wrong. I was just missing an album or two. But I think one of those was an EP, so I don't think that. Whatever.
EPs don't count.
I had Freaky Styley before Mother's Milk, which I was right about. I just missed, other things that don't matter.
And I mean, that is the Red Hot Chili Peppers, is things that don't matter. So what are you drinking tonight, Kevin?
So I'm currently drinking a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but I was in Lakeland, Florida over the weekend for a Tigers spring training game. And I went to Publix and I came across this beer by Cigar City called Maduro Brown Ale. And I've got that packed up. I have not had one of these I think since the last time I had it was when I had it for Old Favorite Friday, like 4 years ago. One of the first beers I did for the series because I can't find it anywhere down here. I told Phil, I texted him, how dare you make me come all the way to Lakeland, Florida just to get this beer? And he said he's trying to make sure that it's more available, which is wonderful. But I'm very excited to I've already had a couple of them. I only have, I think, 3 left. But those are my main go-tos tonight.
I feel like I saw it on tap somewhere recently, but I didn't get one. But I was like, "Oh, that's on tap," and I was caught off guard by it. But it doesn't. I can't quite remember where it was at this point in time. Now you're gonna make me have to find it. Just like I've been trying to find that Sierra Nevada Spring Fest, and I can't find it in any of the places by me.
I found that not locally either. I think I was out of town or at least somewhere else where I recently bought that. But also just to follow up on the Maduro thing, I saw that Cigar City released oatmeal raisin cookie about 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, and I was so looking forward to having it because I hadn't had it in so long. It was, like, one of my early, like, favorite beers from Cigar City, and I don't think it ever came down here, and I was really bummed out about that because the story about that in Brooklyn doing their own oatmeal raisin cookie and Garrett Oliver taking a shot at Cigar City, I wanted to do something for Old Favorite Friday with that beer, but couldn't get my hands on it.
Yeah, that was also one that they didn't package a whole lot too. It was like a primarily draft beer
Mhm.
back in the day. When they did package it, it was like a special treat.
So enough about me. What are you guys drinking tonight?
I have a Summit Saga IPA. Um, just kind of one of my favorite IPAs around town, and I saw a 4-pack uh on a deal at the local Cub Foods liquor store, and thought I'm gonna have that for the pod.
Nice. I feel like that is a recurring beer for you on the show,
It is, yeah.
because it's like you said, it's pretty much like your go-to IPA.
Yeah, there's maybe, I don't know, maybe only 3 IPAs in town anymore that I care to drink that are West Coast style, and this is probably the most ubiquitous around town, and I enjoy it each and every time.
Awesome. I'm having a beer from Copper Point from our most recent release. It is called Golden Goat. It's essentially a Maibach, but we call it a Golden Springbok, and it's a nice drinker. Although it will sneak up on you because it's like 7.2%. So just something new that we decided to put out for spring. Can grab it at our tap room only in 6 packs and on draft. So
Well,
if you're here.
Well, I will definitely be getting some on Friday because a friend of the show, Phil Clark, is going to be in town and he's coming to our anniversary party, Barrel of Monk's anniversary. By the time you guys hear this, it will have already happened, but he's going to be in town and where he wants to go to Copper Point on Friday night before the anniversary on Saturday. And I just was texting with him. I'm going to meet him over there to have a beer and I will definitely get a 6-pack of that and try it out.
Oh, awesome. I wish you guys could come during the day, but that is life.
I will be working.
Yeah. I will kind of be too, but you know. Uh, all right. So we have a topic for tonight that we wanted to talk about, but before we get into that, Kevin was telling us before the show he wanted to talk about something. Didn't tell us what it was, but he wanted to get into something before the main topic. So Kevin has the stage.
Thank you. So I don't know how often I've talked about our distribution relationships with other distributors in the state, particularly the 7 bud distributors we were sold to by Brown Distributing, I think back in 2017, 2018. And we basically were sold to the bud houses. And for the most part, all those bud houses did not support us at all, stopped coming to pick our beer up, basically just abandoned us. Now, we did have a couple, Suncoast, for one, and Coastal Beverage actually did some real hard work for us. And I really respect the effort they put into it. We didn't have a sales rep in the market. It was never really going to work long term, but they did their level best. But 6 of those houses either released us outright almost immediately, like Great Bay, or when we eventually just stopped selling beer and stopped having any interaction with them at all, just gave us our release. Hey, we bought you for pennies, and we bought you because you were part of a deal with Funky Buddha and Founders and whoever else it wasn't us they wanted. They might have paid some money theoretically for us, but we were a rounding error for them essentially in that deal. Except for one, Gold Coast Eagle. Gold Coast Eagle, which I believe is it Sarasota they are in? I always mix up whether they're in Sarasota or what area of the state of Florida they're in. They would not release us when we requested a release when they stopped picking our beer up around 6 years ago. Then a year or so after that, I sent another email saying, "Hey, will you please release us? You have not picked up beer in 3 years." They asked for just under $3,000 cash for us to be released from our contract, with the justification that they paid X amount for us. While they were distributing us, they made this much, and they basically wanted us to cover the rest of it. So they wanted to be made whole essentially in their own shitty business deal. If they got duped into buying our brand for X amount when we had no representation and almost did no sales in that area, that's on them. And we had no choice of who to go with. We had to sign the contract. And the last time I had any interaction with them, I physically, because I had a deal years and years ago with Miller's Ale House, where I had a featured beer for breast cancer awareness that we were making beer to support. In order to get our beer in there, I had to physically drive it. I had to get a U-Haul and drive the beer to them so that we could support Miller's Ale House because they would not send a truck to pick it up. And that was in 2019. They have not touched a drop of our beer in over 7 years. They have never done anything for our brand, never did anything for our brand when we were, quote unquote, in their portfolio active. And recently I sent another letter saying, it's now been 7 years. Would you please release us? Everybody else has released us for no compensation. We will never make $3,000 in sales in that territory because we're lucky to sell 3 Slims in the next couple of years. But I want to have the option in case we get an opportunity, or so Cavalier can just have a little bit more opportunity to sell our beer. And their response was, our position's the same. We need to get paid, was essentially their email. I told them we are a 2,000 barrel brewery that is just trying to make good decisions for ourselves. We're not competition for you. No one is going into your accounts trying to sell against you if you make the bad business decision of releasing us. These people are fucking assholes. They're just assholes. They are greedy. They are inhuman in how they're dealing with a small brewery like us. And I just wanted to, anyone out there that has any dealings with these people, if you care at all about how they treat others in other businesses, and if they wanted to come pick beer up from us, I'd do it right now. They want to try to sell our beer. We didn't dissolve this partnership. They did. They decided that we didn't matter in their portfolio, but they're going to hold our rights until we go out of business because they can, because that's what they do as a business. And it's bullshit. And franchise law in this country, in this state, is bullshit. And if you can find, and I can't do anything about it. I can't. There's nothing. They have all the power. I can say fuck you all I want. It matters. It doesn't matter at all. They don't care. I get that. I get that. I'm the loser in this. They're the winner. But it doesn't make you a decent person in any way, shape, or form for making that decision.
No, I mean that is fucked up, and I am sorry that that has happened to you. Um, but at the same time, like I know franchise law here is shitty, but like this really does sound like a clear cut, like they're not providing good faith, uh, which is a term in the franchise law for the state, is that a distributor has to show good faith and attempt to sell your product. And they don't even have you listed as a brand that they carry on their website. They have a couple businesses that no longer are in business listed on there, but they don't have you listed. It really sounds like they are making no effort to sell your beer. So you should be able to be free and clear. But I'm not a lawyer. That
Is it
whole
gonna,
thing.
but here's the question. Even if I were to win a lawsuit, how much is a lawsuit going to cost me?
Yeah.
More than $3,000? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have no incentive. And I appealed to them as human beings. I said, listen, this might not be the best business decision for you, but can you look at this in a practical and human way? All of your other compatriots in the bud houses let us go with zero pushback. Zero pushback. They just said, hey, this isn't working out. There's no benefit this for you or for us, and just let us go. And I respected each and every one of those people. And the people that worked for that company, I respected, and I have nothing bad to say about them. They did not support our brand, but who cares? We were a small guy in the first place, and probably never were going to succeed in that portfolio. And and I respect that. But these people, no respect. I don't even hope they fail, because first of all, they're not. They're wildly successful and have been for a long time. And I don't even hope the people that made this decision have, get horrible bone cancer. I just hope that one day they realize what pieces of shit they are for making that kind of decision. And even if it doesn't benefit me, just go, man, I fucked that up. I should have done that. There was no justifiable reason for my decision there. That's all I hope.
Oh, I there's a couple things that I just see in the law of like that if there is like an impasse, like the distributor has to provide a plan of corrective action within 30 days of the complaint, and then they have an additional 90 days to cure such noncompliance, or they have to let you go. And the burden of proof falls on them for it. I know that that's usually not a great case for distributors, but I mean, they haven't sold an ounce of your liquid in years. Like, but again, yes, I know legal fees, blah blah blah. It's fucking bullshit.
And this, we can move on. I don't know if Tim, you have anything to say about that, but I was going to use that as a last call, but it's so relevant to our industry. And I just thought that, and it's fresh on my mind. I got the response to this email several hours ago. So while I'm nice and not too hammered, I wanted to get out that fuck you, so that it's understood that it was not alcohol induced. Like, my disdain for these people and how they choose to do business is palpable. And it is prevalent even when I'm not intoxicated.
Yeah, I've mentioned on the show before a distributor that we were with at Badger Hill that was still listing, like showing us on their website in bottles when we had switched over to cans years earlier, and pretending like they were doing anything, and they weren't touching anything, they weren't doing anything, they weren't acting in good faith in any way, shape, or form. And it was literally because we had a meeting at our brewery, and then after they basically said, yeah, what are you going to do about it, pointed to the cameras and said, remember, you've got no expectation of privacy in our public, or in our private business. You came into a place knowing there's security cameras. We just now have you on camera saying, which is a total bluff, we don't record audio, but like saying that you can kind of do whatever you want to fuck us, and we can't do anything about it. And that was about the only way we were able to even begin negotiations to get out of that distribution contract. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. And now I see those breweries, or those distributors, being shitty with other breweries. I think that fuck you is a well earned sentiment.
And
Let's
it's just so
talk about
crazy
grocery
how,
stores. Sorry.
and it's just so crazy how other alcohol categories can just change distributors without cause. Like, and they can just say, you know what, we don't like this anymore, we're gonna go with someone else. It's kind of a big reason why, like, what's her name, Republic National is going under as a distributor, who were like one of the biggest. Is a bunch of their brands decided to just up and leave, like Diageo brands or Constellation, I can't remember which one it is, and are like, we're going to go to Southern Glazer in a lot of these states. And here in Florida, like, spirits brands, wine brands, they can just say, yeah, we're going to go to someone else. And that's basically that.
I'll say one more thing about this, and that is that if anyone knows anything about Florida, they know that the Republicans just dominate the legislature, have for, I don't know, a couple decades now. And if there's ever any proof, and I'm not talking about national, but locally, if there's ever any proof that they don't give a fuck about small businesses, that they only kowtow to corporate large businesses and give them as much power as they possibly can, or at least refuse to remove any power from them, this is it. We are a small brewery. We have been handcuffed and impossible to sell. There's the spirit of competition? Where's the idea of a free market, right? None, they don't care. They do not care. They've never cared. It's all bullshit. Any person who says that that's what, the Republicans in Florida are into, no, they're not. They have no interest in that whatsoever. Never have, probably never will.
Here, here. All right. So for tonight's main topic, what we wanted to talk about was kind of like bigger businesses, grocery and corporate placements, chain accounts, these types of accounts that really move volumes for breweries. Like, for every mom and pop shop that you have pushing beer, like, there's like, you can't even, they can't even move the amount of like one big box store. So, and those places aren't easy to get into. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what it is like trying to get your beer into either a big grocery store or a chain restaurant, things like that. Because this is like, we're in the midst of what we would call spring resets, and at least in Florida. I don't know if this is how it kind of works across other states as well, but usually grocery stores reset in their spring and fall what is in their quote unquote sets, the beers that have to be in the stores, in the major grocers. So, Kevin, you've been deep into this for probably months now. Uh, what is the process like from someone who is trying to get their foot into the door of, say, a Publix, the largest grocery chain in Florida?
Well, first of all, I feel like I'm monopolizing this entire episode, so I'll try to keep this brief and then, just sprinkle in some things a little bit later on. But with our brand, we got into Publix early on when we had package, and it was 100% through like grassroots people going in there requesting the beer, and then getting like these I forget the kind of approval that you get, the to basically be available for a store, but you're not mandated inside the sets.
2A?
Is it no? Is it 2A? I think there's one. I think there's something below 2A. Is
Oh,
what I
okay.
was thinking about. That's why I didn't mention it. But I think 2A is when like you have availability over like a long. You don't need any special approval to bring the beer in. Anyway, not important.
I thought that was the right to bear arms. I guess I'm
See, that's what I was looking for. That's why Tim's around here to pepper in the funny. Uh, so we got in there and we slowly grew with Publix just through good sales without ever getting a meeting. We never had a meeting. We never went to Lakeland. Now we dropped beer off a few times, but if Phil Palmisano was on here, he would describe the process of going in there, meeting with them, bringing all this IRI data and bringing all these things together to try to show what this brand can do for a large grocery chain like Publix. And we never did it. And we grew into, I think, 70 or 80 stores that way, but kind of hit a brick wall. And I've talked about that ad nauseum, I think, on this show, how when we switched to cans, their system did not pick up that they were the same brands. It showed that we didn't have good sales. We got kicked out. This time around for the spring resets, we went and pitched, and I don't have a lot of data like a big brand would bring. I did not have IRI data. I just had some sales data that was pulled from our distributor and showing our success in other smaller grocery stores like Trader Joe's, which has been very successful with our single Havana brand, and hammered home that we were growing and we were getting there, and we just got kicked out. And it was unfair. And through a personal relationship and some good conversation, I think we impressed them enough to give us a chance. And they put our Waypoint IPA in, I think it's 127 stores. And altogether, we got 190 POGs, which is individual placements throughout the South Florida market. Biggest thing we've ever done. And I think it was a personal relationship as far as just like meeting and having a good conversation, and them kind of wanting to come through for us because I think they realized that there was a mistake on their part. Um, but you really have to bring the numbers, and you really have to forge, I think, some kind of relationship, even in a system that is so driven by just straight algorithms. I think there still is a personal aspect in at least getting your foot in the door, because there's really no numbers until you do.
Yeah, from our standpoint, we are a brewery who I think we were in a somewhat similar boat as you before I was at Copper Point. We were getting some Publix placements, and then all through just working the market, not actually going up to Lakeland and having a meeting with anyone. And then all of that got shut down, and it was a long road working back. But eventually, I think it was last year or the year before, we got 2A approval for lager and B's squeeze. And then last year, we got B's into sets for a number of stores in our main distributor footprint. We were approved for every store in there, and then some for Broward County, which is a different distributor. And then I was like, okay, that was a great accomplishment. And now it's a matter of keeping those placements, because in like half a year's time, it starts to happen again, and you got to try to show numbers that make them want to keep you in in those sets. And we were lucky enough that like our B squeeze did well enough to stay into the set in our main distributor footprint. We lost some of the placements in Broward County, but yeah, like that, it is such a crazy game that you can just never let go of. You got to run discounts with them. You need to run specials with them. You need to work hand in hand with Publix every point of the year to try to make sure that you're always in view with them to try to stay relevant and try to keep those placements.
Tim, do you have anything? I could talk about this for hours, and I don't. Like I said, I monopolize a lot of time. Do you have anything to add for that, Tim?
No, I mean, for us in Minnesota, it is a little bit different because one, we don't have alcohol sales directly in grocery stores, right? So, grocery stores that operate their own uh liquor store that is a not just a separate section, but like completely separate entrance. You have to go through a separate door, all of that. Then that is a little bit different. But then we have a number of cities that are municipally controlled liquor stores. So you won't see that across a chain. And so if you're going to get into a chain like a Target grocery, for Target wine and spirits, which is not common around here, or Cub Foods. You might get the Cub Foods wine and spirits in Bloomington, but then Edina, a suburb away, is all municipally run liquor store. That it just adds in a whole other layer of complexity that I think a lot of people don't necessarily look at getting a grocery or a placement as like the be all end all. I mean, I think, when I look at chain liquor stores, we don't have a ton. I guess we have MGM. For the most part, the total wines people don't seem to give a shit about anymore. So it's just a very different game here in Minnesota.
One of the things that's so interesting about just the way that in the craft beer market and the beer market in general, if you're talking about bringing in a new sales rep and you're kind of giving them the lay of the land, maybe they come from out of state or maybe they're crossing over from a different business, you're probably saying some semblance of this is a relationships industry. You got to be
Hmm.
front of mind all the time. You got to be walking in, spending money at the account, asking, Billy Joe Bob how his kid did at soccer the day before. And that's the way you get and maintain business, even in the face of maybe underperformance, right? And I think a lot of that comes down to one, I'm talking about draft accounts here.
Yep.
A lot of draft accounts actually don't know what they're making. I mean, especially smaller
Yeah.
restaurants.
Oh, for sure.
The amount of times that we've gotten kicked off draft only to find out we were the number one selling beer in the place or the number two selling beer, and they said it wasn't performing well. Now, could that have just been some bullshit line because they didn't like our sales rep or didn't like me? I don't know, maybe. But I don't think they really have a handle necessarily always. I mean, I've had situations where we've had a beer in that they were pouring 12 ounces of at a time. And they were saying, well, the beer's not doing very well. I'm like, yeah, but you were pouring 12 ounces of it and selling for more money. And
Yeah.
yes, you weren't going through the keg as fast, but you were making more money off the volume. Like, there's so much of that in the industry
Yeah.
that the relationships are that important. When we start getting into the grocery and the package, the relationships are there. That's how you get your foot in the door very often, but it's numbers driven.
It is a
Publix,
1,000% data
yeah,
driven. Yeah.
Publix, Target, even, they are looking at their data and seeing what sells. And if it doesn't sell, they could like you all they want. Now, there are anomalies. I'm sure, Mike, you've walked into a Publix recently and been like, I'm not going to name the brand, but there's one brand that I see constantly. I'm like, there's no way that sells. I just know. I've looked at dates on bottles and be like, this beer is never sold here. And it's in the sets every single time. There, And some of that has gone away in the last couple of years because I think they've gone more and more to automation and more to the algorithms. But so it's not that it's completely abandoned, is those kind of relationships. But when you're so data driven and you're a smaller brand going into a set in Hialeah, Florida, no one's ever seen our beer before, and our Waypoint IPA is just on the shelf. We have really no way to sell that beer. Now we can
Mhm.
do some in-store tastings and samplings. We have to hire, and I'm just talking very specifically about Publix right now. But I can't go in and sample at Publix like I can at Whole Foods and Fresh Market and back in the day at Lucky's or what have you. I used to go in and sample in those places and sell 8 cases of beer that one
Yeah.
time because I know the brand, I know how to talk about it, and you can't do that at Publix. They have their own vendors for doing that, and it's like some very nice person that goes in and goes, "Would you like to try some local beer?" And they
Yeah.
don't know what it is, and they're not gonna be able to sell it, and it's probably gonna be a sunk cost for you at the end of the day, but there's really no other way to really push that brand. So you get in there, you throw a party. We're in 190 stores. And then you get the realization that you might not be in 8 months. And that's terrifying because you have to ramp up production and change your schedules and do all this stuff. And I want to say that if the beer's just great, it's going to sell, but we all know that's not true.
Well, and so like that's one thing we've talked about in just consumer packaged goods in general, like at work in coffee, right? Is if we're going to get in at a Target, now there are less barriers to entry because there aren't, it's not liquor, it's not alcohol. You can put that in any one of those, but it is if you're gonna get this, you have to be prepared to support it. And so being prepared to support it means I have that product available because that's the one thing that I always say. I remember one time at Badger Hill, um, one of the owners was like, if I have to choose between getting a keg to distro or to my tap room, I'm going to choose the tap room because I make more money off of that keg in the tap room. And I said, here's the difference: is if I'm out of a beer at my tap room, I've got all of my other beers at that tap room. If I'm out of my beer at that key account, they're just not going to buy beer from me again. I've just now lost that business entirely. And I think that is what's hard for some people to understand is yeah, I make more money in my tap room or whatever. I make more money here, but like the pressure to like y- you feel like it's a coup to get this placement in 27 Publix or whatever, but now it's a holy shit moment. Now I have to be able to deliver. Um and do I have the infrastructure to be able to deliver? And is it worth the capital investment to make sure that I do deliver, knowing that even if I deliver 110%, I might be out.
It's so multifaceted. Like it's okay, we got to try to keep up with the demand now as long as we have the sales going. We If we don't have the sales going, we're going to lose that placement in a little bit. It's always worrying about one different thing to the next. And it's like one thing, I don't know if you guys will be doing this or not, Kevin, but one thing we do is called TPRs, temporary price reductions. And in Florida, also a price reduction cannot be for a specific account. It has to be available to everyone through a distributor. But you can make the quantitative numbers of it so high that only certain accounts can participate in it. Like you can say, oh, if you buy 10 cases, you get $1 off each case. Like your little liquor store around the corner is not going to participate in
Yeah,
something like
but
that.
Doesn't Publix require case 1 TPRs?
I don't remember
They
what.
I mean, I'm almost 100% positive that's the case.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
you're right, by the way, and I've done QD quantity
Yeah,
discount.
that's quantity discount.
You
Sorry,
know,
yes.
but yeah, TPRs for Publix are case one. So to your point, and you said, "Are you going to be doing this?" We haven't done them in the past because we weren't in enough stores. We are now, and
Yeah.
we plan. And I've been putting together, and actually, I've tapped friends of mine, including Phil, just to ask, his opinions on stuff and what his experiences have been, and he was kind enough to give me a little bit of information, about what he thinks, um, and that combined with our distributors' information and everything else, we're going to put together a pretty aggressive TPR plan going forward. And I think it's 100% necessary. And when those TPRs go on, you're talking about in the neighborhood of $5 off a single case.
Yeah.
In order to even do it. And I don't know. I mean, I know we are a very industry specific podcast. That's the margin for the vast majority of beer out there in package.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying I'm making nothing off this beer for a month or 2 weeks or whatever. I think it's required for a month, but I could be wrong.
It's
And
2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
yeah, I've seen it both ways. I've been told 2 weeks, but then I was just told a month by somebody
Oh,
else, and
really?
I thought that was wrong. Anyway, the whole
All of
point
our
is
TPRs are for 2 weeks.
okay. So you've actually done them. So who told
Yeah.
me it was a month was inaccurate. But still, for 2 weeks, every case of that beer that gets sold to Trader Joe's is going to also have $5 off of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's serious money. You're putting that you're flushing away, so to speak. But I'm sorry, Tim. I'll just say one more thing. We have dealt with so many marketing people that have said, "We want you to do an ad during the Final Four and for local TV for your brewery." And I'm like, "Well, you can't buy our beer anywhere. Why would we ever do that? It's branding. Branding for a brand they can't buy? You want me to run a commercial in Miami that says go buy Single in Havana and they can't find it anywhere in a store? That's preposterous." This is the one place where that branding is probably a good play, because that branding of being in the biggest grocery store chain in the state and the biggest mover of beer in the state is important. And if you can stay there and maintain and even grow, you actually have a financial benefit as well. It's a direct financial windfall that can come to you in addition to the branding piece. It's probably the only time I would say I'm good with it. What were you going to say, Tim?
No, I was gonna say, well, one thing that you had brought up earlier is like the marketing support, which you were just actually alluding to, right? When you get into chain, so for instance, in Minnesota, you can self distribute and you can work with a distributor, and and it has to do. I don't remember what the numbers are on barrel size, but the idea is you have breweries that do a combination, right? They might use distributor to hit everything outside of the metro and self-distribute within the metro or whatever. Um, but when it comes to chain locations, whether that be liquor stores or chain grocery or whatever, they're best served by distributors because distributors are the ones that are really able to back any type of promotional activity that goes on, right? Like you said, you don't even have the opportunity to do individual tastings or samplings or any of those things when you get into a change situation. And so you're already now having to go into and I don't know what the situation like in Florida, but like a lot of the places that choose to only self distribute don't even bother with chains because the only way to get a foot in the door is through a distributor. You're already taking a cut, and so now if you're having to do that price promotion, yeah, you've absolutely killed you're losing money to do it, right? And so that becomes the real challenge. So I mentioned I picked up this Saga IPA 4-pack on special at Cub Foods, and I realized that Cub Foods liquors, right? So connected to but separate door from the grocery store. Their local section is almost nothing now. It's only been a couple of years since there were a bunch of locals, but as people have contracted back away from distributors, you're not seeing the self-distributed guys getting in there, and even some of the ones with distributors, that those types of price reduction or discounts or other type of incentive programs are really incentives only for the retailer. They do those types of things, uh, don't really drive your brand at all. And I like what you were saying about sort of the vaporware aspect of what people in marketing think about all of this, right? Um, y- it's a lot of effort to get in, and it can be a big win. But even your b- now you've also not only have do you not have marketing, you've lost control, right? Like I remember one time getting really excited about an end cap, and I was like, "Cool, a warm, unrefrigerated end cap. It's prime real estate to kill my beer." There's just so much that gets out of your hands, and so I I have to ask, right? Like for all the effort to get into those things and all of the motion moving in, even if you can see an increase in revenue, is it the right call?
Maybe not. I mean, there is a good argument to be made that it is not a smart move for a brewery of my size to be doing this. But I think you have to be strategic. I think that breweries in my position, breweries in Copper Point's position, I think we're ripe to make a lot of dumb moves and to spend a lot of money in really bad places, right?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think I think that what I have been focused on for the last 2 or 3 years is if I'm gonna waste money, let me waste money as intelligently as possible, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And, this is a play that let me let me try to be as honest here as possible. It's a play that strokes our ego really well, right? Like, you can
Sure.
w when I go to my son's baseball game and I'm wearing a Barrel of Monk shirt and someone walks up to me and says, "Oh, it's a local brewery," and their first question is, "Can you get it in Publix?" For the last 11 years, my answer is, "Yeah, kinda."
Mhm.
You know, if
Sure.
if if your local Publix just so happens to be one of the 50 that carry one of our brands out of the 250 in South Florida, yeah, you can get it at Publix. Now I can kinda say, "Well, do you live in Palm Beach County?" They go, "Yeah." I actually ran the numbers today. 96% of all Publix in Palm Beach County have our beer or will when the resets happen. So I can
Mhm.
say, "You live in Palm Beach County?" Odds are you can go in there. There's 3 in West Palm, uh, 2
I
in
know which
Boca.
two in West Palm probably aren't, and they're the ones closest
They're
to my
yours.
house.
Um, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I can finally say that. So maybe it's just ego. Maybe it's just that rush of having your beer available in a very popular place. But I do think that the ubiquity of a brand being available and having the potential to succeed, maybe people actually grab that beer and it does really well, right?
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
Maybe, and if it does, all the money spent on TPRs and stuff does come back to you. I believe that. And the ability to walk into more places and say, "Hey, we're in every single Publix in this footprint. Why don't you give our beer a shot on draft?" Uh, I think there is a little bit of a snowball rolling downhill effect, but to harken back to what I said earlier, then you just got to defend it. Then you lose it, and then you lose that production, and you lose that revenue, and then you have no place to go to replace it. No place to go to replace it
yeah, I mean
in a
Yeah.
package sense.
that is the big thing, right? If you're trying to do any type of forecasting, which it's almost impossible to do anything on demand without any type of forecasting. If you're gonna forecast the amount of cans I'm gonna need to order, the amount of malt I'm needing to order, any of those cogs types of things, but also uh, the percentage of my capacity that's gonna go to all of this. if you forecast all of that, you're going to be making decisions based off of that 4 months in advance. And if you lose that customer, that becomes the greatest thing in the world to you, can very quickly, very suddenly be your worst enemy. Like that is the double-edged sword there, right? And that's why you see the ones that succeed the most in there. It's not just because they have distributor support. It's not just because they have the sales support. It's not just because they have the infrastructure. It's that they can also absorb a hit better than a small guy can.
Yeah. Like that's why
Big time.
so one thing I wanted to say when we first started talking about the TPR thing is a lot of the times when you're running the TPRs, Publix reduces the price of your beer during that time, so you're on sale for a two week period or wherever period that you're going on, and you can advertise that and state that, like, try to move through more product that way. But then you got bigger guys who can manage to do BOGO stuff like through
Oh, yeah.
Publix, and like I don't even know exactly what all goes into having to do that, but I know that costs a lot of money from a brewery standpoint to be able to run BOGOs, and some of these brands that run them like all the fucking time is just crazy to see.
Well, but those brands are, like you said, those are big brands. Those are
Yeah,
brands that have massive marketing budgets, and they are spending money to be front of mind. That's what
yeah,
they're doing. It's like we talked about the sponsorships at stadiums, and I
yeah.
explained a situation recently where we were offered one, and I was like, there is no way we will lose on this every year we do it. But it's the marketing aspect of it. And by
Hmm.
the way, if you're in every single Publix, and because you're in every single Publix, all of a sudden now, instead of being in 90% of Whole Foods, you're in every Whole Foods. And instead of being in no Targets, you're in Target. And instead of being, now you're in Walmart and even in Walgreens, right? When you become ubiquitous, where you can get that beer frickin' anywhere, 7-Eleven, maybe losing $5,000 on a stadium deal makes sense. You're right. They're buying X amount of profit. Their product. You're being charged 50 grand a year or whatever. I just pulled that number out of my ass. I can't remember what the number was, but and like the beer doesn't make that up, but it comes close enough that the rest of it's marketing, and then your beer is available everywhere. That has been successful for people in the past. There's a reason why Budweiser still does it. It's just that for us, it's almost like you need this perfect storm of a situation to happen. You need to get, and this is very important. You got to be good and you got to be really fucking lucky. People do not like to think I need to be lucky to be successful. No, you do. Fucking Elon Musk had to be lucky to be successful. Everyone needs to be lucky to be successful. You're probably not the one, by the way. Sorry
Yeah.
to burst anyone's bubble. But if you have that perfect storm, you take your shot, you make a calculated risk at the right time when it won't hurt you too badly if you fail, maybe you're the one that comes out of it and you can be successful for a little while.
I mean, I think one of the things that becomes really tricky is revenue is a sexy number. Um, EBITDA, not even sexy to say, right? Uh, uh
Did you just have a stroke? What was
earnings before interest, taxes, uh, uh, debt amortization. Uh, uh, the idea is you can have these things. Ubiquity is great up into a point, right? I appreciate what you said about, hey, if I'm everywhere, I'm more likely to get a draft account just because somebody who is buying my beer at home is going to request my beer when they're out at a restaurant, or at least I can sell that to that bar owner, right? I can be like, look, they're drinking it at home. They're gonna come in and ask for it, right? I even know uh, back in the day that general manager and regional managers at B Dubs would be like, this is what I keep on getting asked for, what I keep on getting asked for, because it's what people are buying at home. There's certainly uh, a large portion of that. Uh, but but if you keep on growing revenue year after year after year after year, but you're not making enough to reinvest in the business, or you know, you can be turning a profit, but if your profit is not matching what your revenue increases are, you're hitting a point of diminishing returns, and ubiquity is great up until a point, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And so that's where it comes, that point becomes a lot smaller for small, or a lot quicker for smaller breweries, right? Because the stakes are so much higher. Like I know what it takes to get on a planogram and coffee, right? And it's so funny. My parents were just complaining that they couldn't find Busy at their local Target in Ankeny, and it's like literally just that exact same day we had just made a post on Instagram about being in 1,300 locations, Target locations nationwide, and so I sent it to them, and they went up to a different Target and they found it, uh, which is awesome. But again, you have to be prepared to support that and be able to absorb uh, even the positive costs that you believe you'll get a return on investment on. But we've talked ad nauseum in this on this podcast about how breweries won't spend marketing dollars where they should, but they'll gladly spend other marketing dollars where they see. It's not that people say, "Oh, I need to see ROI," and marketing dollars are hard to see ROI. No, breweries spend a bunch of money on things, like you said, ego, right? Uh, and the idea that ubiquity cures all. Uh, but it doesn't.
I just have to I just have to mention this, and Mike, I'm just speaking over you because your video's a little bit delayed, so I did
Okay.
not see you move until I heard your voice. So, after I heard your voice, so I'll just say this: we're talking about marketing dollars and spending money and just like places that don't make any sense. I have been like chastised by people because we don't buy stickers and give them out like every other brewery in the history, craft brewery does in the history of mankind,
Mhm.
and it's because I've never sold one beer because of a fucking sticker. And I'm not going to spend a couple $100 on fucking stickers. It doesn't matter. And I know it's $100 or whatever, but it doesn't matter. And it's never mattered and it's never going to matter. And those are like little things that I think about and probably too fixated on things like that. But I've spent the last several years reducing all those things in my brewery, doing less events, and our sales are either flat or growing over that period of time. And it's like, oh, I guess those fucking stickers didn't matter, huh? Mike, what were you gonna say?
You're telling me that stickers don't matter. You're telling me that this doesn't matter. You're telling me that this doesn't matter. Oh, you're telling me that this one doesn't matter.
He held up an odd breed sticker, by the way, of a brewery that no longer exists. Yes, Mike, I'm telling you that the sticker of the brewery that no longer exists does not matter.
It's just I feel like a lot of this is just always going to be for a company of our size, just chasing our tails, like
For sure.
always chasing our tails, like because yeah, we got in. Okay, we need to stay in. We need to keep sales going. Okay, how do we do that? By running incentives. All right, those incentives lose us money. So how do we make that up? By selling more. Okay, so to sell more, we need to ramp up more. In order to ramp up more, we need more people. Those cost money. So how do we pay for that? We need to sell more. Okay, so how do we sell more there? Run more discounts. All right, we'll run more discounts to sell more. It's just, yeah.
That that's what I said. Revenue is the sexy number, but it's to
I
me it's the single dumbest metric.
I'm having flashbacks of the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they make their own Patty's dollars because
The
they're
Dave and
trying
Buster
the
scheme?
Dave and Buster scheme. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I don't know how does a self-sustaining
It's
economy work? I don't know. I don't know how the American economy works. Um, let alone a self-sustaining one. I think listen at this point. eh, I mean, really, we've kind of talked about this so many times, either in a roundabout way or directly. We're really in a war of attrition. And I
Yeah.
hate to use the term war when we're fucking at war. Nonsense. But,
We're we're we're
um,
we're in we're in a non-political skirmish
yeah,
of attrition.
there you go. Thank you. Um, but it really comes down to it. It's like when you are one of the last crafts on the shelf, hopefully you're the one that gets the focus when people start to put their focus back on it. And honestly, it's one of the things that we're just kind of banking on. We have some other irons in the fire. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to talk about them in 2-3 months from now, and we're going to be thrilled that we've got these new accounts. But I think one of the reasons why we're getting these opportunities is that so many other people have dropped off, and there's not a lot of people to fill that void. And I think that that's what my hope is with grocery right now is that we can kind of fill some abandoned space where craft just really failed, and by all likelihood we'll be the other brand that fails. We'll be the other brand that goes in and it'll be around for 8 months and it doesn't sell, and then we'll just be kicked out and someone else will get a shot. But maybe there'll be a resurgence in the idea of IPAs and craft beer and things of that nature in that time, and we'll get a shot and we'll be successful in it. And it's the risk that we're willing to take at this point. Um, Not to cut off anyone that wants to comment on that, but we've talked about Target multiple times here,
Yeah.
and I know Target is a big brand. It is headquarters in Minnesota,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, headquartered in
Um,
Minneapolis, yes. Yep.
and there's lots of problems with Target politically and things of that nature over the last couple of years. But I do want to mention one thing about Target and as far as a craft brewery going in there. I got approved status in every Target in my geographical footprint about 5 years ago. And I got into them. I sold beer in. It was a hand sell and did pretty well in them. To the tune, I think I had 3 locations that were going through a case a week. A case a week is a good number. I remember back in the day where when you went into grocery, if you didn't do a case a week, you're kicked out. But in this climate, you do a case a week, you're a freaking hero, right?
Mhm.
People are thrilled if you do a half a case a week, a case a month, you're doing good in some cases, depending on the stores, obviously. There, and I say this at the risk that anyone from Target will ever hear this, and they won't. I have never seen a more poorly run craft beer anything than at Target. You walk into a Target and go to their beer section, it it things are, like, knocked over, they're never full, there's just empty cooler spaces everywhere. It's like it's that
There's
area is like
dog
you walk
food in there sometimes.
no,
It's
it's The
like
Walking Dead. It's like you're
So
walking into a post-apoca everything else is fine. You walk into the beer section and there's nothing. There's
so
tumbleweeds blowing through it, and I cannot fathom it. I would go into a local Target that I was selling a case a week in and go, "Hey, you didn't order, Wizard this week. Oh, we don't have any space in the set." What fucking set? There's
it
there's 2 doors that are empty. I could put 7 cases of beer in here and you might not sell them, but it would at least fill up the freaking cooler. I'm
yeah,
saying this, one, if anyone wants to comment on it, but two, not every chain does this very well.
yeah, I'm gonna say a couple things, and neither of these are necessarily a defensive target, because this has been brought up before. So, first of all, uh, uh, Target 10 years ago were the best at planograms for a retail space. And I don't just mean in liquor, I mean across all categories. What gave Target such a competitive advantage wasn't their more, open stance on inclusivity, right? They were really good at planogramming and forecasting. Um, They were, and data, as you mentioned before, they were. There's a famous thing about how someone finally decided to take a pregnancy test because of all the targeted ads they were getting from Target, because Target knew they were pregnant before they did, basically, based off of all the other purchase history, right? Target's really good, was really good about all of that. One thing I don't think Target even themselves has fully appreciated is how much third party vendors have helped them with a lot of that stuff. You also have to remember we're also the home of General Mills and Pillsbury. So what's Target's grocery going to be like largely stocked by is these large brands that are already are helping them do that well. Um, and so Target, when I talk to other people I know that have moved from other companies I've worked at over to Target, Target in the alcohol space has always struggled because Target headquarters here in Minneapolis still thinks about running that type of business like they're in Minneapolis, and you can't do that here. And so they've always kind of sucked at that. Um, and they haven't had the partners that they've needed to do that. So as they've seen a huge decline, aside from their political leanings aside, they've seen a huge decline in the way they've planogrammed. Um, a huge decline in the way then that merchandising has been communicated at a store level, and you add in the boycotts because of their stupid DEI choices. Um, you already took a category that Target should be able to kill, but still treats like a redheaded stepchild because it's not something that the all of the buyers and planners and merchandisers here in the Twin Cities understand because it's not something they're used to. It's a competency that's terrible. And so now what you're at is just an absolute cluster F, and it's a shame. I've seen so many of my friends lose their jobs here at Target, locally at the headquarters. Um, but yeah, it does not surprise me at all that they would be an absolute nightmare down there.
What's
Um,
tr- what's truly crazy about it to me is you think about those other big grocers or big chains, and they all are the same way in that they make distributors and suppliers merchandise shelves for them. Like,
yeah,
go in Publix doesn't touch the beer aisles. The distributors do. They have
yeah,
merchandisers who
yeah.
handle all of that. It almost seems like that Target is just like, you can come in and merchandise if you want. We'll we'll maybe do it if we want to. It's up to you.
Yeah,
And
well,
yeah,
because they hung their hat on visual merchandising for so long, and Busy's in Publix. Publix is good at planogramming. Planogramming and visual merchandising are two different things. They're related, but they're two distinct disciplines. Um, and I think sometimes well, first of all, somewhere along the line, Target confused the two. Um, they were good at both planogramming and visual merchandising, but in places where they had less control, that they suddenly felt like they could rely on one to support the other, would be what I would say. Um, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that it would be an absolute cluster F down there, but that's indicated 3036 that why Target is now. I believe it was just 6 quarters in a row that they failed to meet earnings, so something like that. Like they're screwed.
I like that Mike's possible interpretation of this is that, Target's kind of like Pringles. They're a laid back company, right? Truckload of they make tennis balls, but truckload of potatoes. Yeah, fuck it, cook them up.
Fuck it,
Like
cut them,
Target's like
up.
Target's like, hey, listen, you guys come in, you guys merchandise. You don't merchandise. It's not a big deal. Hey, listen, if we're in a situation where 2 full cooler doors are just completely empty, sitting 4 feet away is a warm shelf of 6-month-old beer. We're not going to pick those up and put them in the cooler and put a price tag on them. We don't got that kind of time. We're not going to be, a slave to this capitalism. We're just going to let everything play out the way we want. Whatever, however happens, happens. I love that. I love that for them.
Well, I also think because in many cases, I mean, Walmart literally, their slogan is half stolen, half broken, right? They also suck in a lot of places about this, and I think one thing when you're talking about a Publix, very large player, still regional. The national players are the ones that suck the most at it. Small and regionals still do a lot better because they can be a lot more focused on what they're having to do. They've got less, like I said, in just in the Twin Cities metro, you've got some that can be municipal and some that can be privately owned. Like you've got all these things. You expand that on a national level and you try to roll out a national program. And I'm not saying there's not nuance from county to county in Florida, but I'm saying that Publix is not a national brand, right? Sprouts, Wegmans, HEB, still regional brands. Groceries are still largely regional. I think that's one of the things that Whole Foods has found that they really struggle with. That Trader Joe's is really fun. I mean, think about it. Aldi and Trader Joe's have one of the lowest SKU counts out of all of grocery. They've got a tiny amount of SKUs because they've learned that they need to focus to be able to manage that. So it doesn't surprise me that the national players would actually be the worst at it. One other thing that I want to say, Kevin, that I was struck by when you talked about, you know, will we be the ones left there to fill that void? The only question I will ask you is, does every void need to be filled, or does that void exist for a reason?
Oh, I mean, I don't think so. I think that this is a really weird comparison, but my entire life I've been hearing about the good old days of the 1950s and rapid growth and the middle class and things of that nature. I remember being in 6th grade and my math teacher saying, it used to be you can go, because I'm from the Detroit area, you can go down to one of the auto plants and get a job. And it used to be where you could get that job and have a family of 4 kids, and your wife didn't have to work, and you could own 2 cars, and you could have a cabin up north that you could visit. And your generation is not going to have that. The reality is that everyone wants that, thinks that that was a thing that was like a birthright. In the
Yeah.
reality, it was a very small window of time brought on by world politics and world wars that gave us an edge that will probably never happen again. Um, I think craft beer very well could be the same thing. I am completely open to the reality that the idea that this craft beer explosion, where people actually care about the beer that they drink, and and are focused on it and trying to try new things, that time might have come and gone and may never come again. We think things are cyclical; they'll come back around. That's what I'm hoping on because I'm still in this industry, right? And I'm still doing production in a way that was set up to capitalize on that, probably wrongly, by the way. Um, but no, I don't think it's owed to me. And if you really want to ask me to put my nickel down, I think it's kind of done. I don't think I don't think it's coming back in the next 5 to 10 years. I think there's a potential for it to everything to come back around. I think there's a potential for it, but um, because craft beer does not require World War II to make it work. So I think that it has a, a higher
So
likelihood. But
yeah.
I no, I think that when you're in this industry and your infrastructure is built in such a way that you have a 20-barrel brew house and all these fermenters, we're not in a position where I can just become a small local brewery that only makes beer and sells it in my tap room. So I've kind of got to put my eggs in this basket and see if it works. And if it doesn't, I, I'm not, like I said, I'm not banking on it with my soul. I might be doing it with my money, but I'm not doing it with my soul. I don't believe in souls. I'm not banking on it intellectually, maybe I should be saying.
So earlier in this podcast, you were going on a distributor rant, and I believe you said one was Suncoast,
Mhm.
and it made me think about Suncoast Motion Picture Company, which was a a a the VHS and then DVD equivalent to Musicland. In fact,
Okay.
they got bought by the Musicland group, eventually bought by Best Buy, then sold off. Uh, I I think as of 2025, they still technically had two locations. Like there's probably going to be a thing on like sort of like the last blockbuster, but it was the Suncoast was the movie equivalent to Musicland or Sam Goody in every mall all around the country.
Okay.
And it made me think about how when things change, you know, the adapt or die mentality, right? Like Kodak actually was one of the first companies to develop a digital camera, but went all in on being a film company and fucking lost out on that revolution, right? That's the classic example. Blockbuster actually had an ability to do streaming before Netflix, but still believed in brick and mortar and lost out.
And
Like,
by Netflix,
yeah,
they were
yeah,
literally offered the
Yeah.
company for nothing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember in 2007 in my master's program talking about how streaming was the way of the future, and people just didn't want to believe it. Like, and I'm not saying that I was some sort of seer, like I wasn't reading tea leaves. I just
But
understood
you are
how.
saying that.
No, I'm just saying, like I just understand how like
Hold on. I got this.
progress works.
Mike, I got this. Tim, you're very, very smart and you're very, very good. And you
Thank
got
you.
it, dude.
Thank you. No, my point is sometimes we get so bogged down in the way things have been.
Yes. 100%.
So bogged down in the way things have been. And the best predictor for future performance is past performance. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But the best predictor that we have available to us at the time and the right predictor are not always the exact same thing.
Nope.
I just gotta say, at first I didn't know what you were talking about, but about Suncoast. But looking them up, I absolutely remember this being in at least one of the malls by me growing up. Seeing the sign, like a neon sign that looks like a theater, like an old school
Yeah.
theater neon. So yeah, I definitely recall this. Like it's owned by FYE now, the parent company of FYE.
Oh
Um,
shit. Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
So this is an example, guys. By the way, this is an example of when you hear a word and you associate it with a thing, right, for a very long time, and then you associate that word with something else for a long time. I forgot that this exists because I dealt with Suncoast Distributing for so long. But no, there was a Suncoast in Eastland Mall, which is the mall
ex-
that I went to and walked by that store all the time. You know, it went
exactly.
out during the summer every day because there was nothing else to do. But yeah, that's wild. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. And I'm sorry that I looked like I had no idea what the fuck you were talking about
Yeah.
because that information had left my brain and now it's back.
I'm used to getting gaslit by you. It's fine. Uh, no, I don't know, like just to kind of put a bow on all of this,
Yeah,
so
put a
we
bow
can
on it.
move into last calls. I think um the you said people ask, "Can I buy your beer in Publix?" Right?
Mhm.
Um, I think everyone assumes the process is easy, and moreover, everyone assumes the process is worth it. And if there's one thing I hope uh our listeners get out of this is the answer to the first point is no, and the answer to the second point is maybe.
Probably not.
The reality is, as Mike said, we're going into spring sets, and there's an awful lot of people jockeying for an awful lot of position, and I wonder if even half of them are better off spent doing something else rather than jockeying for that spring reset. But anyway, Busy Coffee is available in your local Publix, so go ahead and check us out there.
I've not seen it in my local Costco for a little while.
Yeah, we had some changes. You should be able to see some rolling out again here very soon.
They change stuff up all the time. Like it's I kind of expect to see it come and go. Like certain things that I'll be like, oh, I got it last time I was in there. Now it's not there anymore.
Well, wholesale clubs in general like that, because literally the whole point is they're buying in bulk, and so not everything is available in bulk at all times.
Yeah.
So the merchandise selection in wholesale clubs is a whole other ball of wax. But you should be able to see that. Like I said, we also launched in 1,300 Target locations. Not to do my plugs early.
Which brings us into the second part of the same episode where we talk about wholesale clubs. You guys ready for this? This is a two-parter, and we're just going to go for 4 hours.
All right. So Costco, BJ's, Sam's Club. Is Sam's Club still around? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely they are.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Massive.
one that was around me closed and turned into a Home Depot. So it was weird. But all right, let's head into last call. Point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want, beverage related or not. The only rules are that it's uninterrupted, unopposed, unobjected. I'll kick things off here because mine's just really simple. I've talked about baseball on this show many times, and it's coming up. And I have gotten back into baseball card collecting, thanks in part to my dad a little bit, and also my boys. My dad got me into baseball card collecting as a kid. I still have all of my cards in boxes in my closet, and I last year did some cataloging of them just because, not with any purpose. But my dad started collecting cards again over the last couple of years to give to the boys when they get a little bit older. He's just basically just picking up Phillies cards here and there and some other random stuff. But all that while, they've never had the chance to open up a pack of baseball cards. So I found a local sports card shop, and I went in there last week, and the owners are from the Philly area, so that was kind of fun. And I picked up a box of Topps cards for the boys to open up, and just seeing them get the joy of tearing into those wax packs of cards is just something so cool. And so much so that I went and bought another box of cards for them this week to open up as well. I mean, I opened some too, of course. But yeah, it's kind of crazy getting back into sports cards after probably 25 years of not really caring a whole lot about them. And I was saying, I texted Kevin about how I'm like, there's too many goddamn parallels on cards now. Now, like one particular card has like 28 parallels. If you don't know what parallels, they're just variants of the cards based off of like different foil on them. Some of them might have an autograph. Some of them are. It's crazy. And also trying to understand what those parallels are, because they don't say it on the card. I'm like, okay, is this a foil, or is this a silver foil, or is this a chrome foil? Like, they all practically would look the same in my mind. But it's fun. If anything, to see the boys just getting joy out of opening something and getting something new. So yeah, baseball cards. Tim?
It is very increasingly difficult to be positive lately. You all helped me through the occupation of our city by ICE. Which, by the way, they're not done. Their numbers are down. Their activity is less. They're not done. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office was still aggressively arresting peaceful protesters at the Whipple not too long ago. We're still. Chief O'Hara is still not doing a great job of answering why the Minneapolis Police Department didn't intervene in the way that he said that they would. We're not out of the woods, but we do feel. I'm not going to speak for anyone other than me. Um, uh, the vibe has shifted. Uh, Dropkick Murphys just played an awesome free show to help support what's going on here. But to realize that every single day, it just seems like there's one new tragedy to distract from another tragedy. But we fucking bombed a school. We bombed a school. I'm glad to see that approval ratings are in the toilet. Because it means that all of these people who profess Christian values are finally waking up to it. Uh, Joel posted the other day that he knows that we're at the end time because he went into 7-Eleven and all the Slurpee machines were working and all had bomb-ass flavors. And I sort of felt that in my heart because he was saying, you know, the apocalypse is happening, but also because he knows that, like, and it's been, I don't know, cathartic for me to see how much Joel is angry about everything going on with the war as well. I'm sorry, it's not a war. We can't call it a war, but we also call it a war. And our Secretary of Defense is the Secretary of War, but it's not a war. So if it's not a war, our Secretary of War shouldn't be commenting on what's not a war. What are we? What are we? What are we? I do not understand. I'm exhausted. I am burnt out. I am tired of explaining to people. I'm grateful that my parents have been open to learning about all of this stuff. But I'm grateful for things like tonight where I get to hang out with Mike and Kevin. And I have these two allies that when I'm having a rough day, I can also just shoot these guys a text and they give me great notes and great feedback and lift me up and support me. Uh, because everything around us is just a clusterfuck right now. So take time to look out for one another. Send each other a stupid meme. Send each other the Instagram reel of some guy needing Tommy John surgery after one pitch. Like some crazy ass shit that you can see because that's how we survive. We survive through the dumb things. I like to make fun of all the dumb things, but we survive through it. So, enjoy the dumb because life is dumb. So, embrace the good dumb so we can live through the bad dumb. I think that's the most poignant thing I can say right now. Kevin?
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. I genuinely mean that. So, in the spirit of saying something that is potentially uplifting, Mike talked about baseball. I mentioned briefly that I took Jad to our annual spring training game. We go to one spring training game every year, and it's not always in Lakeland, but there's spring training all throughout Florida. So, this is something that has become a tradition for us. And this year, it was a boys' trip. Allie went to visit a friend of hers in Asheville, and it was just the two of us, and it was a great trip. I mean, just being with my son, and spending a couple nights in a hotel, and going to a baseball game. I mean, it's everything I've always wanted. And we went to see the Tigers play the Pirates, and for whatever reason, 50% of all the spring training games I've gone to have been against the Pirates. Actually, no, I think I've been to 4, and 3 of them been against the Pirates. Apparently, they play the Pirates all the time. But where we were seated, there was a family next to us. It was a man and his son, and I think one of his son's friends, and they were decked out in Pirates gear. And uh, I am I'm not the most social person. I tend to be very shy and very insular. I am very comfortable sitting in silence with even people I know very well. And I have been that way my entire life. And this gentleman who sat next to me just kind of threw a comment to me like, "Hey," almost like a feeler, like, "Oh, is this a person I will talk to or not?" And I answered him, and we're about the same age and things of that nature. And through a 9-inning game, we just engaged in some very casual conversation about our baseball teams, about what was going on, about that play, or their number one prospect who was a shortstop, and our number one prospect for Detroit, which was a shortstop, and this, that, and the other, and Paul Skeens versus Tarek Skubal. And uh, every instinct I had was to like not engage with this person because I'm shy and socially awkward. And I just kind of went with it because we're at a ball game. And he was obviously a nice person who just was willing to have a conversation with me. And I just decided to kind of go with it. And it was really valuable. Nothing of note is ever going to be recorded in history. I won't remember this conversation in maybe 6 months, certainly in 10 years. But even if you're like me and you're a socially awkward, uncomfortable person in social situations, in the right situation, give yourself a chance to just shoot the shit and throw out a comment and ask a question, right? Because that's my big thing. Like, I can answer any question someone has to me, but then my time to reciprocate that, I am so bad at it. I am so bad at that. But I gave myself a shot, and we just had a lovely conversation. And people like that are out there. There are vastly more decent people in the world than undecent people in the world. And that helped to give me just a little bit of joy with my fellow human beings that I so often just assume are terrible because of all the terrible things that are going on and all the terrible politicians that people support. And I always worry, like, if they know who I am, if that guy knew that the shirt underneath my Tigers jersey said, "I stand with immigrants," would that person have actually engaged with me? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But we had a nice interaction, and it reminded me that people are good in a very small way. Don't be afraid to give yourself that opportunity.
That's lovely. Uh, does anyone want to plug anything?
Support your local brewery. That's going to be my big thing. I'm the first cynic when it comes to what local means and when it doesn't. But as we talk through all this stuff, man, go support your local brewery. Uh, Buy them at Publix, right? Buy them in their tap room. Just go support them.
Buy them here, buy them there. I would buy them anywhere.
Yeah, but buy them on a train, buy them on a plane, buy them with a box, buy them in a box.
I would like to plug our anniversary party. I think anyone listening to this should get in a time machine, go back approximately 5, I think 5. I'm not good at math. Maybe 6 days. I'm not sure. Go back and come to our anniversary party and enjoy our 11th anniversary. Our brewery's been around for 11 years. That's insane. I can't believe it's lasted this long. I've never been I'm 40. I'll be 45 this year. It's certainly the longest position I've ever held. So yeah, do that. Time machine anniversary party, please. Thank you.
I so badly want to hire someone to show up to your anniversary party and say that they heard about it on the podcast. Oh my god, what a brilliant prank that would be!
Like maybe dressed as like Marty McFly or maybe Bill and Ted, like the famous time traveler from the 80s. I'm here.
And they
Something terrible is gonna happen.
They show up and they're like, "How'd you hear about this?" Like, I heard about it on the United We Drink podcast.
I was the only person who listened to it.
I was so motivated that I bent space and time.
And then immediately they slap food out of your hand and say, you don't want to eat that.
No, the best thing if they the best thing would be if I bent space and time to be here and they take a sip and go, this isn't that good.
It's like,
oh, God, I should have killed Hitler. God damn it! Why didn't I go back and kill Hitler? I came to this.
Trust me, you guys don't get any better.
I just want to plug a fun little video that I saw before I came onto this. There is a college basketball game going on, and there is someone in the crowd yelling so loud that it is picked up by the TV broadcast. The person is just screaming the lyrics to the Goo Goo Dolls' name. And it is just hilarious that this is picked up, and you could just hear him plainly singing every lyric to the song while this game is going on. So please just go look up Goo Goo Dolls basketball and you'll find it, and just laugh and have a smile for something like that. Other than that, go to our website, unitedwedrink.com. Check out the Brands We Love page where you can buy stuff that helps support the show. You can go to our web store, unitedwedrink.com/store. Buy shirts, buttons, stickers, totes, and other fun things there. Other than that, we'll be back in a couple weeks with a brand new episode for you. Thank you all once again for joining us. Cheers.
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 Did you say jeers?
Ask Jeers.
Cheers.